let's start with Keyshawn Stansel. How about that? Let's start right there at the heart of the defense, the defensive tackle position. This was such a huge position for Miami this year. When you talk about what Damian Lewis was able to do, getting this group to be, to me, top 5 defensive tackle group in the country. I don't think that's a stretch when you look at the way Miami's rush defense performed, the way they performed in big games against the Jeremiah Loves, the Jaden Boz of the world. You watched the Pittsburgh game. I mean, that was a dominant performance by the defensive tackle group. And I think Keyshawn Stansel, Pete, coming out of Raleigh, North Carolina, top 100 player, Clemson D commit, 6'3", 270 he's listed, but I hear he's closer to 285. Really blew up as a senior. Was great as a junior, 4-star player already, but his senior film with the motor and twitch I heard was off the charts, and they really love this guy.
Yeah, this is what Coach Heatherman's looking for. I mean, you saw that they really didn't take a 300-plus pound interior defensive lineman once again, and he wants guys like this with that twitch, as you mentioned, the quickness, that first step, ability to get into the backfield and just be disruptive, right? That's what Heatherman's looking for, and I think this guy fits the bill in a big way. Tremendous flip for Miami here. I mean, again, just kind of lurking at the right time, I think, with the way that things were going with Clemson, and this is one that they thought they were going to get done first time around. So great to see them finish and get him signed.
Yeah, these guys are rare, right? It's only so many players of this caliber, those top 100 defensive linemen, the top 100 national player that play defensive line. Those guys, bidding wars, they're the big money, big ticket items. There's only so many guys with that kind of size and physicality and movement skills alive around in the United States. So you go and get them any way you can. I think Keyshawn Stansel represents that in this class. To me, he is the most talented of the defensive tackles, but we don't know that, and there's going to be some competition. And one guy I wanted to point out that we pulled from Penn State is going to be Isaac Chukwura from Bear, Delaware, former Penn State commit. There was a little bit of drama just with his paperwork, but I was told that was really nothing. There was nothing to that. It was just a paperwork snafu.
Oh, Virginia Tech definitely tried to come back in the picture there. So I think that's what we were, just crossing our fingers for there, that nothing was going to end up happening. But James Franklin tried to make a run at him again. So,
yeah, and the guy ran a 4.8 laser, played offense and defense, super productive. Not the biggest guy, he's about 6'2", 270, 280 we're looking at, but the speed, the wingspan's crazy, and the motor.
Yeah, longest arms in the class, from what I understand, at least on the defensive line. I don't know what the offensive line. There may be a couple guys there who have him, as we just talked about that group. But, yeah, definitely someone who has that frame that he's going to be able to put on weight, very similar to like a Frederick Saintis. So we'll talk about Saintis, probably bigger than him right now at this point. But a lot of interesting body types in the fold. There's D-Money had to step away here for a second. We let these highlights continue to roll here, and it's interesting. We see him lined up. He's actually at offensive line here, at interior offensive line, but we've seen him line up as an edge. We've seen him line up as a defensive tackle, which we see here as well. So, T-Love most likely a 3 tech when you're talking about Chukwura here. So I'm gonna keep it going, and I'll get to this paid comment here in just a second. Agent Galahad, wait for D-Money to get back. So don't worry, I will be on that for you. And I just mentioned Frederick Saintis a minute ago as I pull up his film here. A guy who was really got to give FAU and Devin Santana credit. Devin Santana, who was one of Miami's defensive line coaches last year, had a really good early evaluation on this one. And then you started seeing over the summer Michigan State. Florida State came in here. Miami was really battling Florida State there for a minute on Frederick Saintis. Originally from Haiti, came over to the States and is in Naples now. Came over early in his high school career, and he's someone who has a ton of upside. From what I'm told, in the 280, 285 range. Not playing the best competition as we've seen in some of these clips here, but projecting the body type. And just, again, talking to some people around the program, he has something that you can't – he has that aggressive nature that you just coach into defensive linemen. It's something that you absolutely need. And yes, again, the competition is not very good here, D, but he's dominating as he's supposed to be.
Yeah, by the way, thank you, Pete. I would love to say that I was getting a call that, one of these Trenton Henderson or someone was coming to the Canes, but
I already, I mean, I as you mentioned, and I put in the chat, he's, from what I understand, he's sticking with LSU. So Miami tried to make a run there late, tried to get in there in the last few weeks, but not having. D, there was a paid comment here. I'll talk about safeties real quick, and then we'll get to the.
No, I'll get to the comment in a second. Look at this. First, I'll look at him run to the sideline here. Yeah, a lot of guys that I've talked to think that this will be one of the best players in the class in a couple of years. It'll be a developmental deal, obviously coming from Haiti. I mean, he is Haitian from the island, right? So the sport of football was something new to him. But the combination of being tall and long, but also strong and play, to be a true defensive tackle, he's in good shape. He was a wrestler. He did throwing events. Just played hard. All the reports on the kid are fantastic. Plays a smaller level of competition. It is what it is. But the guy's an extremely talented player. Has a teammate going to Oklahoma, so I mean, it's not like they don't have players where he's at. And I think it'll be a transition, but they really, really love what he's going to do once he gets in a weight room. And as Kevin Dennis points out, William Joseph and Brian Pata, two great Haitian defensive linemen. And really, William Joseph and Brian Pata, you compare them because they're Haitian, obviously, but physically they're not that much different than Fred Saintius. They're taller guys, stronger guys, where it wasn't like a stout, wide guy or a really tall, skinny guy, more like a tall, strong player that became both Joseph and Pata, I believe, had time at defensive end, moved to defensive tackle. Saintius will probably go straight to D tackle, but he's somebody I think
Kevin says, don't forget about Mesidor.
Yep, another Haitian defensive lineman as well. It's been good to the Canes. Wish we had Jason Pierre-Paul. That was one of our big misses. Agent Gala,
and Elvis Dumerville as well. That would have been a good one there.
Agent Galahad, appreciate your support. He says, I know this sounds insane, but I'd say Notre Dame's second best win would maybe be Boise State. If they lose to UNLV, does it help us? Yes. So we're cheering for our guy Dan Mullen. We love the Rebs. We would cheer
Dan
for those
Mullen,
guys.
Man, what a coach! What a coach! He's patched that thing together.
We said they were a playoff team before the year potentially.
Yeah.
They need some help, but I mean, I think if they win and James Madison loses and Duke wins, they got a chance to sneak in, maybe.
Yeah, but you don't want Notre Dame to say that they beat a conference champ. That's an argument that they'll throw in there.
Right, exactly. Producer Pete, there it is, man. He is tearing it up. All right, so let's go up northeast, Pete. Let's go to Logan Nagel while we're talking about these defensive linemen. And you'll notice with these defensive tackles, right? They all, to me, fit a certain pattern, and that's going to be longer. Like, I think the shortest one is Chukwura at 6'2", but he has long arms. Some of them are 6'4". Leaner guys who are still defensive tackle size. They're not small, but they're lean, athletic, try to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, high motor players. That's really what Heatherman wants: length, athleticism, and twitch, and the ability to be disruptive and run to the ball. He's not trying to coach up guys to have good motors, as we watch Logan Nagel here.
And remember, again, a guy who Miami's flipping from a Pittsburgh that does a tremendous job evaluating talent on the defensive line.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy's athletic, man. I know people, again, they see a big white guy, they think lunch pail, but this dude has some movement skills. I am going to do the white guy comparison, but just, again, a very good athlete that I'm comparing him to is Matt Walters, who Miami got from Florida. I believe he's from the Treasure Coast area, if I believe. But similar size. And Matt Walters really had great first step quickness, man. He was hard to keep out of the backfield. I see that with Nagel. He is very disruptive with his first step, with his ability to get skinny. He's going to keep getting stronger. Miami loves guys that have big senior years, and Nagel had a dominant senior year up there in northern New Jersey. And that northern New Jersey area, which is like the New York metro area, has been very, very good to Miami over the years. Talking about Greg Olson, Njoku, a lot of those guys. And I think Nagel, I'm not saying he's going to be those guys. I'm just saying he could be the next. Greg Mark is another one from New Jersey. I believe Danny Stubbs also from New Jersey on the defensive line. Jamal Green, who's on Miami's championship team in 2001. So just a lot of guys coming out of New Jersey. And I think Nagel really fits what Miami's trying to do on the interior line. And he can also play outside as well.
Got a question here as we continue to roll through this class. T-Love asking about the early enrollees. And I posted this on the Discord yesterday. The only two in question right now, and I'm not saying that like there's still hope they could be early enrollees, but our Fred Saintis, as who we were just talking about here a moment ago, and Milan Paris would love to obviously get both of them in. They're still working to see if that can happen. Have a limited amount of time here to get whatever you need. And of course, Saintis had, coming over from another country, the credits always get a little bit more, kind of difficult to process there. But there's still some hope that both of those get done. We'll see what happens. But everyone else, from what I understand, expected to be here in January.
Yeah, great news. Obviously, that was huge for us last year, even though Bryce Fitzgerald got here late and was still able to basically start as a true freshman. So it's not, if you do not get here early, doesn't mean you can't start and do all these great things. It just means it's, it's a little more difficult. OJ Frederick, another one who got here later, who started as a true freshman. So you want them all early. That's good news that they're here early, but it doesn't mean that they can't contribute as true freshmen if they don't get here earlier. Last guy to talk about, Pete, this is a guy you've been very excited about since the beginning. When he was beginning his senior year, you were sending me video of him and some of the stuff he was doing in Alabama as a senior. That's Tyson Bacon from Hoover, Alabama. 3-star player. I think part of the reason why he didn't rise in the rankings to a 4-star level is he did get injured as a senior. Again, he's expected to be totally fine. But one of these guys, we know Hoover from that reality show, right? Big-time program, 6'3", 265 range, similar to what we just talked about with some of these other guys. Had a lot of SEC interest despite the lower ranking. He was a guy that had a lot of SEC offers. I believe he officially visited, he officially visited University of Florida, officially visited Alabama, where he's from. So this is not like some kind of sleeper. And he was on fire to start the year. Miami really excited about this guy. High motor, highly productive, got a great reputation locally. You hear the high school coaches talk about how good he is in that area. And somebody who I just think, as he gets better, recovers from his injury and just fills out a little bit, he could be just with these other guys as a potential defensive tackle for us.
Yeah, this was an interesting one to me because we've talked so much about, hey, there's a few guys who were banged up. Maybe, there were some guys that didn't end up getting into the class because they weren't, didn't have great years and all that. And from what I understand, he played 2, 3, 4 games at the beginning of the season and then got hurt. And after this film came out, the staff they said, we've seen who we need to see. We're sticking with him. So I think that goes to show you that his film last year was good, but they felt like he took the next step this year. And even there were people that I talked to that they liked the take at first. They said he's got a good body type, but after this film came out, they said, yeah, he's better than I think we actually thought he was.
Yeah, Alabama's been good to the Canes. Talking about Mike Jackson, probably the best cornerback to come to Miami and almost, with going back to enroll and Kelly Jennings era.
Birmingham, man. Yeah.
I mean, if you look
I remember going to Birmingham to meet with his mom in the agent game, and we met at a Topgolf. Birmingham, love Birmingham.
Would have been a good guy to get, man. He's about to sign another good contract. I think he just signed one, but he's playing at a super high level. So shout out to Mike Jackson, Alabama, Cole McConaughey, Bobby Pruitt playing a lot this year on defense. So Alabama's been good to the Canes. So one thing you said, Pete, that was interesting to me was we were breaking down the class and where we thought the strengths were on the defensive side of the ball. And you were very quick to say, and I agree with you, I think it was a good take, that the defensive ends in this class are very impressive. The pass rushers, right? Some of those guys we just went over could be bigger defensive ends in certain situations, like an Armando Blunt or whatever, who plays outside and inside. But man, the defensive ends, the pass rushers, the pure get after it guys in this class are very exciting. Pete, I'll let you start with whoever you want to start with, either one, because both of these guys from the state of Florida, and I think they both could have gone SEC if they wanted. A lot of interest. Miami fought and kept both of these guys who can be, to me, dynamic players. So you let me know where you want to start.
Yeah, I'll start with Ashari Charles, and you talk about the SEC interest, but man, I mean, he had at certain points of this process, he had, as I'm pulling it up here, but he had Alabama was after him hard. I mean, there was a point there that there was some concern whether or not he would stick with Miami. FSU made a big run, and I mean, we can laugh at where they are now, but at the beginning point of the year, he was supposed to be there for that Alabama game, actually, that they won, and he ended up canceling the trip last minute. Jason Taylor got on the phone with him and said, hey, literally, and this is what happened. He said, listen, are you in or are you out? And that was that for that portion. Missouri came after him, but he was an early commit, and I think obviously had those things, but wasn't publicly going to a lot of camps and stuff like that. So it was a bit under the radar. But in the 240, 245 range, the first step, as T-Love says, I mean, he absolutely flies. Yeah, he flies off the ball there, and he's physical. His bend is something that you see the way that he can turn the corner and not lose the speed, keep that burst with him, and just the bend. Once he gets an understanding of how to use his hands, and again, strong, powerful for that weight D. You know, this isn't Marquise Lightfoot plays a certain role, but Marquise Lightfoot's still 230 pounds.
Yeah.
And he plays with more power than his weight, but like this is a guy who's already 240, 245. Yeah. And I think he can play the run better than people realize as well. But yeah, stud.
And I don't think he's as big as these guys, so it's not exact comparison. I think he's much closer to like a Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor style of player than Lightfoot because of the power you mentioned. He gets under guys. His power clean, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's off the charts. He's really, I think he set records at his school in the power clean. Venice is an incredible program out there in Southwest Florida. Always in contention for state championships, put out a ton of players. Talk about Missouri being involved. Missouri has Damon Wilson, the 5-star out of the same high school, Venice, Florida, who signed with Georgia, then transferred to Missouri, was part of one of the best defensive end tandems in the country. I think Missouri, of course, Miami, Texas Tech, probably the best combination of pass rushers, also showing you how the game has changed, where those three schools have the best pass rushers in the nation, but they do. So big get for the Canes. Number 19 edge in the country, number 151 national player, blue chip guy. Another state of Florida player that you had to fight the SEC for is DeAnthony Lafayette. These highlights, man, to me, these were some of my favorite highlights in the class. Small guy, he's 6'1", 230. Extremely.
Talk about a first step.
Oh my goodness. And the quickness, that lateral movement. This is one of the most prolific sack artists in the country. So he has no problem getting sacks. And he's from Orlando, Lake Nona, same high school as Zane Durant, a very athletic guy that went to Penn State. But this dude, man, look at the power there. Not only does he have the natural knack for pass rushing, the motor, the bend, able to use his hands, but again, the first step, that lateral move to me, the inside move that he has. He plays running back. He threw everything in high school, javelin, discus, shot put. He also was a sprinter. I think he ran like 11.2 or something crazy. Again, he plays running back for Lake Nona. So the athletic profile of this guy is just off the charts, and I think this guy has a chance to be really, really special as a specialty pass rusher.
Yeah, agreed. I'm excited to see him. You're going to get some opportunities for these young guys, I think, now in the spring, as obviously you're losing Mesidor and Bain. So we'll see how they can translate. I think the power will be a thing, but speed wise, I don't think there's going to be much of a jump for them. Yeah, and look, I think someone says he's a definite redshirt candidate. I think he could play early. Truthfully, like if you ask him to do what he's how fast he can too. It's just you got to ask him to do what he's going to do. Like he's not going to turn it. We're going to playing running back here. He's not going to turn into an every down defensive end. I don't think. Right. I just don't see that. Man, he's taking us to the house. Let's see if he finishes this one to the house. I mean, this guy's athleticism is crazy. It's funny though, D, because like we talk about a guy like Nick Benito a lot on the show because he's kind of like a cautionary tale for letting certain traits walk out the door in South Florida. And what you're talking about is you have to let him do what he do. Nick Benito is one of the highest paid pass rushers in the NFL.
Yep.
I was at the Texans Broncos game a few weeks ago. The first play of the game, he was not on the field as one of the highest paid pass rushers in the league. So even these guys are used situationally in the league, the guys who are, the best in the league. So we have to start thinking that way, I think, when it comes to a player like this.
No, 100%. I think that's a great point. And I would use the example in terms of college of like an R. Mason Thomas, who R. Mason Thomas is from South Florida, Cardinal Gibbons. He played with Ahmad Moten, I believe. We recruited him when Cristobal got here, but it was too late. He goes to Oklahoma, one of the best players in the country for Oklahoma. Again, same school as Nick Benito, one of the best pass rushers in the country. And he's going to get drafted just off that. He's not that much bigger than Lafayette, but the speed, the motor, the ability to impact the passing game, it makes him pretty high priority. Lafayette was a Louisiana State commit. One of the few guys, I think it was the only one from LSU who left the class, or one of the only ones that left the class. Of course, he's from Florida, so coming back home, not that big a stretch. Miami's done a lot of good work in the Orlando area. Last year, you signed three offensive linemen from the Orlando area. This year, you get a DeAnthony Lafayette at defensive end. You get Darren Coleman at quarterback. You get Reese Woodrow on the offensive line. And now, guy we'll talk about at the linebacker position, J.J. Edwards, one of the most popular guys in the staff as far as like the way he developed. And with J.J. Edwards, 3-star linebacker out of Orlando Edgewater, this is all about versatility and traits. I mean, you see this guy rushing the passer. You see him right here, pick six. You see him covering guys straight up at that nickel position or that strong side linebacker position. You see him running sideline to sideline. See him doing – he really does everything. And the reason he's – look at him blocking a kick here. The reason he's able to do everything is because his athleticism. Verified 4.56. He's got long arms. He's put on some weight, but was a Rutgers commit, tore up the camp circuit both from a testing standpoint and what he was able to do movement-wise, covering guys and just moving around. And the senior film popped, and the spring evaluation was on point when he committed. So Miami was very happy to take him from Rutgers. Just a complete stud, man. This is someone that they're just really, really excited about what he could bring as he gains weight. Exactly what Heatherman's looking for in terms of length, speed, verified testing, the ability to rush the passer. That's really what he wants, high motor. And I think that's what you get with J.J. Edwards.
Should be a guy who contributes on special teams right away, D. I like how he's rushing the passer, something that Heatherman likes his linebackers to be able to do. And this is, linebacker is going to be a big question for me heading into spring here because you're losing a lot of experience here, a lot of snaps, and you got to continue to stack up with athletic body types like this. And the next guy we're going to be talking about certainly fits that mold as well.
Yeah. Before we get to him, while you're pulling up that player here, Agent Galahad, appreciate your support, says, it feels like the linebacker position has been down in high school. Why does it seem like we haven't been pursuing what could have been our weakest room besides tight end? Well, we got 3 linebackers. One is an edge linebacker we'll talk about in a second. I think he'll end up potentially playing linebacker. That's my guess. That's not what I've been told. But I think Heatherman is making putting an emphasis on getting fast, athletic guys. Kellen Wiley last year, guys that really just look the part, play the part, have all the traits that you want, and then they'll be coached up to do what he needs them to do as long as they play hard at high school level. But South Florida has been bad at linebacker lately. Florida as a whole has been down at linebacker for almost a decade. I remember when mine was really good at linebacker, you had Dan Morgan, Nate Webster, John Vilma, John Beeson, McClover, guys that were local, Perryman later on, Spence. There just hasn't been that many good linebackers in South Florida lately. So I think that's depressed Miami's ability to recruit locally. Wes Passaic, a good starter for them for Central. But otherwise,
Wesley's going to be missed, man. He's a guy who Canes fans, I think, will learn to look back on and say, man, he was a really reliable player for Miami. The last couple seasons, man, has really taken his game to the next level, I think.
I agree with you totally. Underrated player and a good Cane, man. Really cares about the program and works hard and plays hard and is a talented guy. He'll play professionally in some form or fashion, I believe. So we talked about what does Heatherman like? Length, verified testing. If you run a verified 4.5 and you have some long arms and you're 6'1", 6'2", and you play hard and you have versatility, you're going to have his attention. And I think the next guy, who was Miami's signing day edition, fits that bill. That's Karsten Bush out of Louisville, was a Louisville commit, ended up decommitting from Louisville. Wisconsin had all the buzz, but Miami went and saw him. Heatherman saw him in person, loved what he saw, and this guy became a priority. Miami was ecstatic to land him. 6'2", in that 230 range, plays offense, plays defense, a state qualifier in the triple jump and the long jump, just to give you some idea of athleticism. I believe he's a verified 4.5 guy as well. You see him on tape. The speed plays, the movement plays, plays hard. He's playing off-ball linebacker. He's not just like a super twitchy Russian that you're like, hey, you're too small for end, you're going to play linebacker. There's a guy who's played everywhere, but he's really played linebacker as like he will in college. So I think this is somebody who Miami was very, very excited to get on signing day.
Man, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm with this T-Love hating on Wes, man. He says if he's missed, we've failed in talent acquisition. One day Pete is talking about getting more talent. The next day he says Wes we missed. Can't make this up. Both can be true, man. I think both can be true.
Wes is a good player, man. I mean, he's a blue chip player. He developed 4 years. And I don't know if you noticed, but Miami's run defense this year was one of the best in the country, right there, probably the second best behind Ohio State. Texas Tech, if you could, but I think when you consider the competition, I mean, Notre Dame has the top 2 running backs in the draft, and they did 0 against the University of Miami. If you don't think those linebackers have something to do with it, I promise you're mistaken. So, yeah, Wes is a really good player. But, yeah, we want to keep at every position, you want to keep adding more talent and taking it to another level. But yeah, West will be missed. But I do think some of these guys with Bush and Edwards, when I say, I keep going back to that verified 4.5 speed, which I think Edwards and Bush both have with length, you're getting somewhere. Kellen Wiley, another guy with those freak of nature characteristics from last year's class. This next player.
Hold on. I'm not done with T-Love.
Give it to him.
T-Love says, Pete talks about top five. West will be missed. I mean, what do those two things have to do with each other? Yeah, you do need to bring in top 5 classes, in my opinion. But at the same time, you can miss a player. And by the way, Wesley Besant was a big time recruit. He was a 93 rated recruit. He was a high 4-star recruit. So yeah, I want more players like that. I don't really know what I don't think there's really much of a debate that we could have there. This is crazy.
Yeah, we want more players like that, but you also want to get guys. By the way, T-Love, we love you. You're always in the chat with good takes, but I disagree with you on this one. I think West's a good player, but at the same time, look, you want to keep striving until you have Jonathan Vilma. You want to keep striving until you have Dan Morgan, right? So I mean, I get that part, but I also wouldn't diminish.
We haven't had those guys in a long time. So.
And I think we need linebackers, no question. We need to upgrade that room in terms of, like, you lose. We'll see with Toure. Maybe, who knows what happens with his injury and his redshirt status. Eligibility is so weird these days.
There could be another year there.
But West, he's gone. Chase Smith, is gone. I think we need to just kind of get more talent in that room, whether it's these guys we're talking about now in the portal. But I think our linebackers, to me, have been a little underrated. Are they? Look, people talk about Ohio State. Ohio State has 2 first-round picks this year. That's not normal. I don't think the other teams are in that ballpark. But, Miami's run defense and defense overall was, like, elite, like top 3, right? Ohio State, and then put Miami in the next category. So
T-Love says, we haven't had those guys in a long time. That's what I'm saying. So do you not want top 5 classes that bring in those types of guys?
Oh, yeah, we definitely
But by the way, the difference in what we've had, like, the difference, there has been way worse than Wesley. Oh, let's understand again what we're talking about here. The floor has been raised in a tremendous way. Wesley will be missed next year. I'm going to continue.
Good players are missed. Good players that play 4 years and represent the Hurricanes well will be missed. But again, excited to have some new blood here with J.J. Edwards and Carson Bush. And the last player here, there's only 2 South Florida players in this class, which is crazy. But I think it's reflective of, and I made a post about this, South Florida to me is down in terms of the depth of talent in South Florida. You still have some good players. Look at the top 10 players in the country, 4 of them from Miami. So you still can get elite guys, not as many. But this is one Miami had to keep, and that's Jordan Campbell. I remember when I first went full-time with CanesInSight, maybe last February, one of the first players that we talked to and interviewed at the Under Armour camp was an underclassman, Jordan Campbell. Pete interviewed him, actually. And he looked the part then. He was playing like safety, linebacker. This year he played to Northwestern, played more on the edge, but looks the part. Like, you just see him, he just looks like a college linebacker. Long arms, he's strong, he's college ready. He's got speed all day. Was very productive as an edge for Northwestern. I've heard he could play edge. I really do think he's a linebacker. He played linebacker at the Under Armour game, was running sideline to sideline, making plays, looked good there. So to me, he's a linebacker. We'll find out where he plays. But overall, as you see, you could put his highlights, Bush's highlights, and Edwards' highlights back to back to back, which we've done. They'll kind of look a little similar, right? As far as the way they move, Pete, the way they kind of are playing all over the defense throughout their careers, and then the length and just that suddenness that they bring to the table. It just kind of looks similar.
Yeah, I think linebacker is the spot, just because I never heard him kind of lumped in with the rest of the edge rushers. Not that he doesn't have the skill set, but I think body type wise, he's linebacker, and he has the athletic traits they're looking for there. Now, how will it translate? Just because he hasn't played in a certain scheme that they're asking him to do what he's probably going to be asked to do here, we will see. But he's got some juice, which is what we're all talking about needing here.
Yeah, I love all-star games because, yes, they're all-star games, but football, they're playing hard. It's football. They're not going to be – it's not like the Pro Bowl. These are high school kids trying to prove themselves. And when you see the all-star game, you get to see – and he played as an underclassman because now they allow – because of all the early enrollees and stuff, they allow juniors to play in these Under Armour All-America games just to sort of fill out the roster because so many guys are not playing because of their next school. So he last year, as a junior, played in the Under Armour game, which is one of the top 2 games, maybe the top game. he was playing linebacker, had a great play on a goal line stand. He was just excellent to me at linebacker in that game. J.J. Dunnigan, another one we'll talk about in a second, played really, really well in that game. Jackson Cantwell played at tackle. So I'm a fan of this guy. I've been committed for a long time. If you watch his junior and his sophomore highlights, he's playing totally different positions than what you're seeing here at Northwestern. So that's versatility. Again, Bush, Edwards, they're all over the place. Long, fast, high motor. Heatherman's making his impact felt. Let's go to the safety position, Pete, and we'll talk about J.J. Dunnigan because I was just brought him up, which is just a super athlete. This was a late flip for the Canes. Highly rated player, I believe, on 247, because I know 247's a big fan of his. I believe he might be a top 100 player, Dunnigan, but he's somebody that from Kansas. His dad played. Yeah, so he's the number 92 player overall in the country according to 247 Sports, 149th player on the composite, top 10 safety on 247 Sports. One of the best players in recent history in Kansas. He's from Manhattan. His dad played for Kansas State. He was committed to Kansas, and Miami was able to flip him late. But, man, you're talking about 6'2", might even be 6'3", lean body type. He's not a tall, skinny kid. He's strong, runs a 10.9, so the speed is there. I've seen him throwing down dunks on the basketball court, man. Offensively, Kansas, you could imagine an athlete like this, they're playing all over the field, but he's playing wide receiver. He is playing safety. I know he had some looks at corner. I believe he played some corner at the Under Armour game, had an interception in that game as an underclassman. So, again, Kansas kid going to the Under Armour game, stepping up in competition, doing a phenomenal job. He likes to hit. He returns kicks. Different athlete to me, Pete, with Dunnigan than Bryce Fitzgerald as far as like the way they move. Bryce Fitzgerald probably a little smoother, whereas Dunnigan, he's a taller guy, a little more upright. But when you watch, both guys are guys that you could say safety, corner, and they do everything at the high school level. Just really, really high level athletes to upgrade that safety position.
Yeah, really like this late addition. Obviously, Blake Stewart was someone they wanted at this spot as well. But yeah, not like you said, not quite the same sort of style of athlete as Fitzgerald, but he checks boxes.
Yeah, and look, I mean, when you see him, this is Kansas, but man, he makes it look easy. I believe he's also just won the state championship, played really, really well in that game. I mean, there are multiple return touchdowns on this highlight reel. You're talking about kick returns, punt returns, interception returns. He seems to play pretty hard when it comes to, there you see him running to the football there. Look at him running to the set of block here. You see the speed and you see the willingness. Look at him speed up here and make the last block to get his guy going. But I just like the versatility and the athleticism, man. Again, Bryce Fitzgerald is not my comp because they're just different, but it's a very Bryce Fitzgerald type of impact on the game at the high school level. And I think he can bring a little even more size and physicality than Bryce brought. Bryce, I don't know if he has the fluidity, like I said, to just truly be a corner type athlete. But some people looked at this guy at corner, and he played some corner, I believe, at the Under Armour game. So he has that kind of.
He's rolling though, man. He's rolling.
He's verified speed. I mean, this guy probably is a 4.4 on the clock, and lean guy. Who does he remind you of, Pete? I'm struggling to find somebody to comp him to, just the way he moves and his size. We haven't really had a safety with this profile.
Yeah, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't really make a comparison I can think of. He's
built similarly to Jacoby Thomas in terms of his body, but I think Jacoby Thomas, although he did play more offense than you would have thought in his high school tape, he was playing quarterback. Jacoby Thomas, he was making some big plays. I think athletically, you got to give the edge to Dunnigan. He's just one of those guys, man. He just makes it look real easy, and I know the staff was ecstatic to get him. Good at grids as well, like a good academic guy, high effort player. I think he'd be an instant impact guy, at least.
A long highlight tape.
Oh yeah, and this is just like the abbreviated one. He does it in I think his full highlight reel is like 10 minutes, and it's all stuff like this. I mean, look, it's Kansas, so you want a highlight tape like this. You want guys to dominate, and
playing like linebacker there.
Yeah, he played everywhere, man. He's a big dude. Look at him. And you see him in the Under Armour game with other big blue chip kids, and look at that physicality there. Look at him finish the play. He doesn't look out of place at all. So, interesting comp here from Just Kenny Phillips. Kenny, similar body type with that one. Not bad. Surtain, yeah. FSU fired Pat Surtain, so that was the news that was being discussed. And maybe we bring him down. Who knows? Wish we had him a little while ago to get his son. But yeah, this tape is impressive with Dunnigan. I agree, man. He's there you see him forcing a fumble. Just does a lot, man. Does a lot. And you're seeing themes with this class, right? Size, length, athleticism, playing different spots, verified testing numbers, just the physical traits, and then the emotional traits as far as playing hard, being tough. Good place to start. You can teach technique. You can find positions for guys, but if they're long, if they're athletic, if it's verified, you know it's going to translate. And they play hard, play physical, and they know enough about football to play multiple spots, to play different sports. Good place to start, right? And you're seeing that with a lot of these guys in this class. And really, you're seeing with the next guy, which is going to be a Cortez Redding coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. With Cortez Redding, not as big and strong as Dunnigan. I think Dunnigan has him as far as just the physical kind of size, speed aspect of it. But what Redding, to me, natural football player, has instincts at safety, which safety is an instincts position all the way. Plays great competition there in Atlanta, and then just smooth, man. As you see, look at him take this one right here. Boop. Kind of like the Cam Kitchen style interception where he just sees it the whole way. What changed, not changed, but really kind of put the picture together for me with Redding, Pete, was when I watched his basketball highlights. This guy is like an all-league type basketball player in Atlanta. Like, he is a really, really good basketball player, and you see the smooth movement here. Just an easy kind of mover.
Yeah, always around the football. Big fan of his teammate. We'll talk about here in a second, John Tavius Wyman. But this was some of my favorite tape that I saw when the midseason stuff came out, because their school wasn't putting out week by week highlights. They put them out like midseason. And this was a lot of his stuff that we're seeing. It was like first 4 games too. So, but look at that. Look at he makes his decision, puts his foot in the dirt, and gets to the receiver and dislodges it. So he's got a little bit of everything. You see him tracking here. You see him in zone there, covering 2 guys essentially. I don't know if it was zone, but he left the guy that he was covering there and to go make the play. So the instincts look really, really good, man.
Center field right here. You know, safety is you mentioned the instincts. Safety is such an instincts position. You look at Cam Kitchens. Cam Kitchens was not the size speed demon, right? It was really more about how smooth of an athlete he was, and then the instincts. And Cam Kitchens might make a Pro Bowl this year for the Los Angeles Rams. So with Redding, I think really you just want to see how he reacts to a weight room, because if he can get fill out, which again, that's what the college weight room is for, and just really get that part of it. I think the instincts is going to be quick. I think just the natural movement and ease of movement that he has as a basketball player will be there. So 4-star player, big fan of Cortez Redding. And Pete, let's get to his you mentioned his teammate. Why don't we just start there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of these highlights are going to show it, but when I saw talk about ball skills on a player, his offensive highlights are just as good as his defensive highlights, and that's John Tavius Wyman. Not the biggest guy in the world, but again, really just someone who's always around the football. And if he's got an opportunity to make a play on it, he will do that.
Yeah, John Tavius Wyman.
And I say that, and I'm pulling up these clips that we have, and he has like the longest highlight tape of anyone in the class. So that's a good sign.
100%, and it's all over the field, right? As you see him
this
here.
Is what I'm talking about. Look at that. I mean, he's not the biggest.
There you go. At corner, man, his acceleration. Go ahead, Pete. I cut you off.
No, I'm all in on him.
Number 301 player in the country, 4-star. He was a Georgia commit. He was the Rivals National 5-star camp MVP.
Look at this. Look at this. Like, I'm telling you, and I told you this before. Why not get him the ball on offense?
Yeah. You know. So like I mentioned, JJ Dunnigan didn't like remind me of Bryce Fitzgerald athletically, but he did remind just in terms of what he was doing. The one that reminds me really of Bryce Fitzgerald is John Tavius Wyman. Not the same exact body. I think Bryce was a little heavier. Bryce more of a safety, but just the ability to be like with Bryce Fitzgerald. You watch Bryce Fitzgerald's film, which was also filled with some big plays, and you said, I don't know, is he a safety? Is he a wide receiver? Is he a kick returner? Is he a corner? Where is he? And I think Wyman is similar, but all I know with Wyman is he always looks like the best athlete on the field. With good athletes, is Atlanta football. He's just always in control, and his suddenness. Look at that. He's just kind of toying with these guys a little bit. I mean, this is real football he's playing against, and he is making these guys look terrible.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this guy you talk about. We went through it with Steve yesterday, who are guys where I said the 2 pass rushers, but this one's another one that's right up there for me. I mean, he's special. I might get some heat for saying this, but I prefer him at wide receiver over Vance Spafford.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I'm just the injury stuff with Spafford concerns me. It's a couple years in a row with it.
Yeah, I think with Wyman, the thing he's going to need to show if you put him on defense, look, with him on defense, the negative would be he's not the longest guy, right? We're going to talk about Jalen Waters in a second, who's the opposite. And then just he's not the most physical guy at this stage, which, again, we said that about Bryce Fitzgerald, and I just watched him against Pittsburgh getting sacks, being one of the most impactful players on the field as a true freshman who wasn't even here for spring. So there you see him, showing some physicality.
The ball skills, though, as T-Love says. I mean, first he said the balls, which I thought he was saying the balls on me to say I prefer him over Spafford because, we've already disagreed once today. But the ball skills, no, that was what. But then, I mean, with the ball in his hands, he's making guys miss. I mean, he's a Casey Concepcion, as who Travis says.
His acceleration.
Like, would you be against him? Because again, he's not the biggest guy in the world. We'll see what the physicality looks like when he gets here. But I think this is a guy who I want to get him the football.
Yeah, and returning. But look at it. So here we see him at corner. He's playing off. This is where I think it's interesting. Look at him break on the ball. I mean, his acceleration and change of direction at corner. And then what I like about him at corner is he has instinct. So, I think, look, you put him at corner to start, and you say, all right, cover Josh Moore, right? Cover Dalen Upshaw, cover Malachi Toney, right? Some of these guys there have some size on them and some toughness to them, and then see how he's able to handle that. He's forget Milan Paris, some of the guys, Vance Spafford. See how you cover these young receivers, let them compete there. If he can play corner, I think you upgrade your team when your corners are your best athletes or Philip Buchanan's. Philip Buchanan back in the day could have played offense, right? Antro Roll and Sean Taylor at defensive back. Kelly Jennings, those guys could have played offense.
Got a Philip Buchanan comparison here from DWB.
Yeah, so all those guys could have played offense. They end up playing defense, and that when you have guys like that on defense, like Bryce Fitzgerald, like Tavius Wyman, you end up scoring a lot of touchdowns on defense, which you want. But I agree, Pete. He could be a great offensive player and then special teams as well. So good problem to have, right? But, people ask me, who are your favorite players in the class, or who do you think are the best players in the class? And, I'm not going to rank all the players. But if you ask me, Pete, as we sit here today, the three guys who you want to have at least 3 first-round players in a class. And that's a lot to have 3 first-round players in a class. You had 2 23 with Ruben Bain and Francis Malinois. We'll see. But if you're getting 3 first-rounders in a recruiting class in the portal era where you can add other guys, you're talking about a championship-level class. So that's like an aspirational deal. So if you ask me, who are the 3 guys that you feel best could be a first-round type player, like Malinois, like Bain, Malachi Toney, I would say Jackson Cantwell, who we talked about, Joel Urban, who we talked about, and I would say Jalen Waters out of Sefner Armwood, same high school that gave us Gerard Pringle, that gave us Kellen Wiley. I've seen this guy in person at the OT7. We had all the best defensive backs in the country, Devin Sanchez, all the top guys, 5 stars. This guy was as good physically and performance-wise as any corner in the country with all the best guys together. 6'1", he looks to me 6'2". He is a strong, athletic build. I mean, this guy's not like, I wouldn't even call him wiry. Like, he's big. Like, he's a strong, big corner. He's day one, physically ready to go. Played with an edge. I liked how he was competing at corner. He was not one of these guys that, like, you're like, man, he's got the body, but I wish he had the mind. This guy wants to play. He wants to compete. He wants to get after wide receivers. And you see, against good competition, man, he can turn, he can run, he can find the football. He is. I don't know if that was legal, but that was certainly sending a message. Here you see him playing off, which, again, for a guy like this, you a little handsy there at the end. You're going to have to probably, you have to coach him up a little bit because long guys like this, they tend to be a little grabby. But I just think look at that break on the ball. There's a reason why Corey Raymond and LSU made such a big run at this guy late. He is exactly what you want as a corner. Talked about DJ Ivey having all the traits. I think, and then, even with all the struggles he had in Miami, still becoming a guy that plays in the NFL and is part of that defense. I think with Waters, all the traits that Ivey has, probably even more so. And then I think he just has a little bit more nastiness to him. It's going to allow him to.
He looks a little bit more loose than DJ too. Like DJ was faster than people realized, and obviously he was long. But I think some of the quicker movements, I think at this point he might be ahead of where DJ was at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look, and Ivey was a 7th rounder who's able to stay in the league. I think this guy's more of a like 1st, 2nd round type of guy, which is why LSU. Corey Raymond's had guys like this. He got DJ Pickett. He's the next one. Mansur Delane this year going 1st round, or at least going to be a high pick. There's a reason why LSU went after this particular player, and I just think he is just special as can be. He, to me, top 3 players in the class, however you want to rack them: Cantwell, Irvin, Jalen Waters. Who do you have as your top 3 players, Pete, if you're talking about just like if you had a bet on them? Not your 3 favorites. These are like the 3 guys that like if you had a bet on them, it could be the highest rated guys, it could be the lowest, just like the guys that you really feel the best about.
Man, I really, off the top of my head, I'm trying not to just say Jackson Cantwell. I know that's the easy answer.
You're allowed to take the easy answer for this one.
I do want to see how he adjusts to the speed.
Right, the pass protection.
Because that's such a, we know once he gets his hands on you, it's going to be very difficult, but the speed's going to be a way different ball game. And I think if we're talking about a surefire, like top 10 future pick, I want to see what the movement looks like a little bit more before I make that judgment, because it was exposed a bit at the what was it, Under Armour last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not jumping that. I'm with you on Joel Irvin.
Yeah.
As a future first round type guy.
We're just
Ben Congdon too. I really like Ben, and that's crazy to say. I almost feel better that he translates in Jackson Cantwell right off the bat.
Yeah. I know you've been very high to first round. I don't, who knows how that all plays out, but just as far as like players, I know you've been particularly high on Ashari Charles. Yeah. Right? You've been telling me for a while that you thought he was the guy first round, whatever. I mean, his length we'll see, but just as far as like causing problems at the college level, I know you've been big on him.
Yeah. I think that would be my other guy that I'm pretty bullish on.
So let's finish this cornerback class, because it's a good one, which is let's go to Brody Jennings, Pete, because Brody Jennings is a guy, I actually don't know where he ends up. I don't know if he ends up being a corner. I don't know if he ends up being a nickel. I don't know if he ends up being a safety, but he is just a really, really good football player, really good feet. You see it in the ball skills there. His dad, the late Bradley Jennings, was a really, really good linebacker. His brother played linebacker for the Canes as well. So he had size on that side of the family. His sister's a sprinter, so I don't know if his mom was a sprinter. There's speed on some side. But this guy's just from Jacksonville Mandarin High School, 4-star player, flipped from Michigan. With Michigan, does a great job evaluating defensive players. Here you see him blocking a kick. In terms of overall football players, alma mater of Carson Beck, by the way, at Jacksonville Mandarin. In terms of overall football players, I think this guy's one of the better guys in the class, because I've seen him tackle, I've seen him play the ball, I've seen him turn and run, I've seen him use his feet, I've seen him tackle, I've seen him return kicks. Look at that right there, that transition and the ball skills. Just seems like a pretty well-rounded guy. It's no surprise to me that Michigan wanted this player, because Michigan really excels with these kind of instinctive good football players.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who tends to be around the football a lot. He's pretty physical as well. He had some really good early season tape, and we see a lot of it here.
Yeah, the question with him, I think, is going to be just like the speed aspect, like how fast is he? I think he's more than fast enough to be a safety, probably more than fast enough to be a nickel. Is it going to be an outside corner? We'll see, right? That's why they play the games. It'll be interesting to see. I just think with everything that he brings to the table, he will find a role on this defense. I think he's one of the higher floor guys to me in this class. I like getting football players like this, man. But look, we talked about him as a potential nickel, a guy that is getting a lot of love at the nickel position. 4-star player, one of the big risers actually as a senior in terms of the rankings. He got a huge bump up from 247. They have him as the number 116 player nationally, number 12 corner in the country. On the composite, he's still easy 4-star player. That's from Charlotte, North Carolina, Camden Portoris, the son of Clinton Portoris, of course, the Canes great. And at first when he committed, people thought this is a legacy pick. And then they see a senior tape and they see how, again, 112th player nationally on 247. That's pretty rare air. Coaches love this guy. Everything I hear is just prototypical nickel, great football player.
Forces a ton of fumbles, which I remember seeing early in the season. And I think he's pesky is the word I would use.
Yeah. The mental part's there. His dad actually was a great defensive back. Florida recruited Clinton Portoris as a defensive back, which is why he went to Miami to play running back. But the truth is, we posted his DB film on CanesInSight. His dad was a hell of a DB. He could have been a great defensive back. But with Camden, I like the word pesky. He sees it. He trusts it. Like a lot of these guys, there you see it right there, got great instincts. He ran a 10.900 meter in the offseason, so there were some speed questions. But 10.9 for a nickel, that's more than good enough. I think Keontae Scott was in that range. And I think, we're talking about a Keontae Scott that was a 5th-year player when we saw him. So Portis still has a lot of development to do before he gets to that kind of player. just physically. You can see he's going to have to gain weight. His dad gained a lot of weight over the course of his career, so you like that part of it. But yeah, just great character reports on Camden Portoris. People in Charlotte on his coaching staff say this guy's just a great football player, smart guy.
I love that play. That play was awesome. I'll rewind that last play again.
Yeah. Look at the eyes and the change.
Really good. I mean, that's what you need in a nickel. And again, the willingness. It's not even. We understand he needs to put some weight on, but some guys just aren't even willing to lower their shoulder and tackle someone. That was a tight end right there. It was a guy who was way bigger than him. He has that willingness, and I think once he fills out, he's a dog, man. I agree with that little thing.
Attila says, I see the speed question. It doesn't seem crazy twitchy like the others, which is why when he ran that 10.9, I think that was very much a reason why he jumped, because 247 looks at all that stuff a lot. Our coaching staff looks at all that stuff a lot. I think that's what really bumped him up, because 10.9, look, 10.5 is like 10.6. You're talking about like elite speed, 4.3. But if you're running a 10.9 in high school without training, you're probably going to be a 4.4 type of guy in college and the pros, at least, if not faster, right? I've seen guys that ran 11.2 and then ran 4.3 at the combine. But 10.9, that's good. That's Keontae Scott's track speed in high school. So, and his dad was one guy, like I remember when Cleveland Portis first got to Miami, people thought he wasn't the fastest guy in the world. And then he became a guy that ran, 4.3, I think, when he was going out into the draft, and was like cranking 60, 70-yard touchdowns for the Broncos right away. So I think, when you have that kind of time as a high school kid, and then your dad has that type of, you have bloodlines from your dad, as he gets bigger, he gets stronger, gets faster. I could see him being, a solid 4.4 guy in the slot, which is what you want, man. And you feel pretty good about that kind of speed in the slot. You
know how he can put that weight on, though, D?
Talk to us.
Checking out Lomelo's meat market, and I know he already had that over the summer on his official visit, as Lomelo's always takes care of the recruiting trips. Lomelos.com, fresh Wagyu beef delivered to your door if you're local here in Miami. You can check out the storefront on US 1 right past Dayland. You see the marbling on that meat right there. Promo code CIS10 gets you 10% off your order.
Yeah, and wash it down. You know what you want to wash it down. That's going to be a nice, cool can of BUZZN. Drink BUZZN. Go right there to the website, drinkbuzzn.com. Get your BUZZN. And, yeah, man, enjoy your weekend. Watch Texas Tech hopefully stomp BYU. Watch Alabama defeat Georgia. And keep it rolling there with Drink BUZZN. DWB's asking any watch parties. We're right here in Duffy's, man. It's always a watch party. It's going to be rolling all weekend. All the TVs, got the outside TVs. Nothing official, right? The Canes aren't playing, so nothing official from us, but we'll be out there. T-Love saying I got Pete upset today.
No, I mean, listen,
you love it.
I wasn't pissed. It's just, man, and by the way, I don't do this for every player, but I got to stick up for Wes, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is that was kind of crazy to me, man.
No, we love Wes, man. We love Wes. We love Wes. By the way, while we're giving you all the food options here at once, man. Just make it whatever meal you're having. One of these has got to hit, right? You got the steak for the cookout. You got Duffy's for the watch party. That's an easy one. You got BUZZN for the drink, and you want to get a nice breakfast. Maybe get a nice lunch right there. You're at work. Maybe you don't got the time to get out there and have a super long lunch today. You got to get a quick one at the dining pavilion. Go to the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion, Islas Canarias, Cuban Express. Check out the full menu here. It is vast. You're talking about 7 different types of croquetas, handheld sandwiches, just a Cuban sandwich, the medianoche, all the classics, pan con bistec, or you just want to grab a cubarito, which is like a new thing, just to grab and go, different flavors, which is actually what I get. Salad, they got bowls, empanadas, you name it, they got it. The #1 Cuban restaurant on the planet, Islas Canarias. Man, we're making ourselves hungry with this little run of ads here. So let's talk some football here.
And it smells good in here right now, too.
Always. Pete, man, I got to say, we've gotten a lot of comments on your bean report. I've seen at least 5 comments about your bean breakdowns with the coffee. You got to get a coffee. You guys own coffee companies. You definitely want Pete pitching your stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, did you get a nice brew this morning, or what did you do?
I did. Same bean, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, so yeah, look, wait and see this weekend. We talked about the playoff thing backwards and forwards. I think the support is pretty intense. I heard Notre Dame fans, Pete, on Twitter yesterday. I thought
hold on. I'm sorry. T-Love. T-Love.
T-Love's still at it.
He says, my point was if we've missed on evals for the past 4 years. We had adequate time to find an upgrade. To point, both can be true. Have we signed a higher rated linebacker than Wesley in the last 4 years?
No.
When Wesley was coming out?
And he's a fourth-year player.
Then my point is probably more true, because that means you got to keep recruiting higher ranked players.
And look, the thing with Wes is Wes was also a 4-year player. So like you're going to miss a 4-year player that is a good player on a great defense. You're going to miss him regardless. Probably
Wiley, which we expect to take that step next year, right?
Yep.
And that's not a missed eval. That's just sometimes I saw someone say in the comments that Wesley wasn't, it doesn't change the fact that he didn't play well against Rutgers in the bowl game 2 years ago. Like we're talking about that game right now. Come on.
I worry about Notre Dame when Jeremiah Love ran for 33 yards, which you could see on ACC Network. But Pete, I was going to talk about just in general with the playoff and everything. Notre Dame fans, and this is not like fringe fans about the big accounts, are saying like, wow, the nation's against us. Like they recognize that there's a media groundswell when you have, look, we're talking about different kinds of people, right? You got, on one side, you got Chuck Todd, who, prominent kind of like, not to get political, just trying to show the spectrum. He's more of a left-wing voice in the media. We're for MSNBC. Then you got DeSantis and Rubio on one side. You got Clay Travis, Josh Pate. You have the whole Paul Feinbaum, who's an SEC guy. Like the whole spectrum of the conferences, the whole spectrum of the political universe all across the country is coming on the same side of this issue, which is pro-Miami. So that tells you
Chuck Todd went to Miami. So
Chuck Todd went to Miami for sure. But I'm saying that's just like
let's make sure they know that.
Well, I was just joking. I always joke about that because it's like I've been retweeting a ton of Chuck Todd tweets. I've been retweeting a ton of like DeSantis tweets. So like my algorithm is like a messed up political hodgepodge right now. But it's all over, right? Everybody's supporting the Canes on this one. So I think you need dominoes to fall. We talked about it. If BYU looks like they did against Texas Tech the first time where they didn't belong on the same field, I think you can safely remove them from the playoffs. I know BYU fans won't like that, but if you get beat up that bad by Texas Tech, you're not a threat to win the playoff. As a matter of our team, 2 losses, they go to the back of the line. If Alabama cannot drop and they stay where they're at so they don't go between Miami, or they move up by beating Georgia, now you have Notre Dame and Miami right next to each other. And what I struggled with last time was I didn't understand why they couldn't just move Miami over Notre Dame now, why they had to wait for them to be touching. Just logically, it didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But then again, you think about tiebreaker rules in others' context. When you have a cluster of 3 and they don't play, you automatically can't do head-to-head because they didn't all play each other. So it's kind of the same concept that you can only use head-to-head when it's 2 teams in the mix and they played, or like if they all played.
That's not what they told us earlier this year, D. So I'm waiting to see mode.
They're making up as they go.
I hope the efforts are successful.
Wait, hold on. First of all, Canes for Life says, I need that shirt. So the shirt is available at CanesInsight.myshopify.com. Just write CanesInsight Shopify and Google. It'll pop up. I appreciate your support. Sometimes it should be on the bottom of the YouTube screen, but if it's not, it's CanesInsight My Shopify. Look at the Abby right there. What a celebrity avatar.
My God.
Right there.
Unfortunately, I have to say that was the SMU game. that was not a great next few hours there, but that was right before the game, so we were all smiles, man. That was awesome.
T Love saying Pate went on ESPN yesterday talking about how we have to be in. Green was all in for us too. Yeah, I think really the villain of this whole thing is the ACC because, and look, we should have won. We should have won against SMU and we wouldn't have any of these problems. So we're against the first culprit of this whole deal. But if the ACC had normal tiebreaker rules when they expanded their conference and they knew that these teams weren't all playing each other, when you have Virginia against Duke, it's a laughingstock situation. Everybody's laughing at the ACC. Duke wins, they'll be laughing at us twice because you won't have the ACC championship and the champion in the tournament most likely. But like even Virginia, like no one thinks Virginia is going to win the championship. So like if Miami would have been in the championship because of the tiebreaker rules instead of one of these other 2 lost teams, Virginia played an NC State game that didn't even count, whatever. If Miami's in this game and they win it, which we would presume they would, you never can because Miami and the ACC has been oil and water, but let's say they win, now you have no problems at all because it's like, all right, Miami, you're in automatic. Notre Dame, you're in when BYU loses. You got all the teams you want in. You have a great tournament. Every team in that tournament, if Miami would have, again, been in the ACC championship, won it, which they're at fault and the ACC is at fault, both are at fault, then you would have had, like, basically the entire tournament would have been teams that could win the championship. Oklahoma, maybe not, but you would have a legit field. Whereas now you have Virginia, which if they win, they're going to get smoked. If you have two G5 teams in, disaster. You hope BYU doesn't win because, man, two Big 12 teams in this tournament, they're not going to win. Texas Tech has a chance because they have a good front, but it's kind of a mess, man.
Shout out to my boy Ale Magnan, old time CanesInSight podcast. He was holding it down on the podcast.
He was. We got to get back.
I got to tell you, Ale, we need a spot for you on the strength and conditioning staff.
Yeah, seriously, man. That guy's bulked up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Brutal muscle coaching.
There it is, baby. I love it. Free plug for our guy. No, appreciate you. Tilo's saying, after D made his tweet, Jim Phillips gave an AP interview, and the ACC Network showed the Notre Dame game 15 times. Leadership. So I'm trying to do, man. We're just trying to do our small part here. 1,600 on live while we're on here at Duffy's. So awesome, man. Just awesome stuff. By the way, shout out, as always, to the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Use promo code INSIGHT20. Get some stuff. Oh, actually, got a new deal I want to talk about here. Where's my man Harry at? Harry told me about a new deal I want to make sure I get to because it's pretty cool. You got the 12 days. I almost said 12 days of Christmas, right? It's a universal deal at Miami Hurricane Team Store. So they call it 12 hot holiday deals. And the first deal, which is going to run from December 3rd to December 8th, 50% off those Adidas slides. 50% off the Adidas slides, which are some of the most popular items at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Our boy Lasso, I know he loves those slides. I see him rocking those all the time. So let's pull it up here. But yeah, Miami Hurricane Team Store, Miami HTS. You got, slides for 50% off. Use promo code INSIGHT20. You get 20% off your first item, period. And you grab those slides for 50% off. You can do all your holiday shopping right there at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. You want to go in person right across the street from the university, from the SCO, from the Light, from the Heck, from all that, right across the street, Miami Hurricane Team Store. Promo code INSIGHT20, and also Harry's hot holiday deals, which is right now until December 8th, which I believe is Monday. You get those Adidas slides 50% off. Good show today. Feeling good, man. Let's have a great weekend. Pete, enjoy those beans.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.